Good evening. Welcome to Minority Caucus. It's a Monday evening. We thank you for having us in your homes tonight. Governance is a serious business. And the sages of old used to think through things right from the beginning to the end. So you have interesting aphorisms about governance, and in particular, one of them, very apt for me tonight, is government of the people, by the people, for the people. A sense that your legitimacy springs from the people whom you are put there to serve. And if you're serving somebody, it means you serve and let the person just flower. Unfortunately, that's not the case we are seeing in Ghana now, where we have a situation I've chosen to call tonight smoke and mirror politics, where the people who set up the government are denied a say in the government. And essentially, the NDC would have us reduce governance to trading invectives on radio, back and forth, whilst they mess up what we have put them in charge of. Tonight, we mean business. Business of governing this country is so important. We can't leave it to just the NDC to do what they like. With me, Nana Kofi upon Damoa, who is a member of our communications team. He will help us to analyze the in quotes policy statement, if we can call it such, the business of government. So, and then Joseph Asamoah Jemfi, who is also a member of the MPP communications team. Both of them are no strangers to this platform. But before we take off, let us look at a bit of what Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has been doing in the Greater Accra region. We'll look at a clip now.
Afraid, no baby a Ghana apple. No one hooks about my name. I do my new. This car say, the name of the Baba sweat. Afraid, no family need to me so. You're not at the bank of the flag. Don't need to me so. My fan can say me so. I was to say, no to my about. To be a pleasure, man. Mr. Ituma and Mr.
The essence of what Nana is doing, he is not organizing crowds or anything. He's walking through the people, and they are getting a spontaneous reaction to what he has to say. In that last segment, he's talking about the economy. The city, which is our lifeblood, the city which has nosedived. And the problem is that now, if you had a certain amount of cities that you were trading with, by the time you go for your next trading trip, you can get less goods for your money. Every time you go back, you get less goods for your money. And you can't necessarily increase the cost of everything that you are selling at the same time. So in short, you are sitting right next to your capital, which is disappearing right eyes. According to His Excellency John Mahama in his policy statement, his option is to continue to detain the dollars that people out of their own hard work have put in the bank. He is demonetizing by force in a democracy. Mr. Wajefi, what do we have here? A policy statement or a draconian set of administrative directives?
Thank you. What I see, I call this policy statement the spare you turn bus driver policy statement, you know, which actually came a week after his 2 weeks promised. You know, he promised to deliver that thing in 2 weeks, but he delivered in the 3rd week.
Okay.
Okay, so that itself meant that the disappointment galore was in the fray. Another thing I realized was that JDM, which I have described as judgment debt management or manager, you know, he's in no position and have no confidence, you know, to change anything. You know, and it's typical of John Mahama. You know, in his book, My First Coup d'etat, you know, he made a statement that all the decisions he's made in his life, you know, were regularly taken in doubt. That is him.
The major decisions of his life were taken in doubt. They have the confidence,
boldness to do anything, you see. So I also see it as same people, same method, same results. Nothing's going to change. That is how I see it. You know, and we're still going to reek under the bitter Ghana in the next in the next 3 months. You know, why am I saying so? You know, in leadership, you come into leadership, and they came on the mantra of change, right?
Yes.
And they were changing Ghana for the better.
That's right.
What it meant was that Ghana was good.
Okay.
Right, under President Kufuor.
Yes.
That's why they said they were going to make it better. And to make it better, one of the things you should do as a leader is to ensure that if you set targets, you give your managers, supervisors, KPIs, key performance indicators. And if you as a manager fail to follow through to ensure that these KPIs are achieved, then you are a weak leader. And President Mahama epitomized it by rather blaming public servants and civil servants that, hey, we have given you fast salaries. Right? That was his first lamentation. We've given you fast salaries. We expected you to work. And Ghanaians are blaming or complaining that for all the, you know, increment in salary, there's nothing to show for. It isn't that there's nothing to show for. It is because you yourself, as a leader, have failed, okay, to provide leadership, direction, and follow, make sure that they deliver for you to have, what do you call it, to achieve your goal so you can go back to the people, okay, and ask for a second mandate. You failed to do that. And indeed, he indicted Tony Edu's own office, right?
The policy evaluation.
Which is in the nose. It is in the presidency.
Yes.
Okay, and that was supposed to change ministers to ensure decisions taken at cabinet level are achieved. Now, if that was not done under his nose, as the chairman of the economic management team, then what does he to deliver? Clearly, you know, there is no hope. I did not see any hope, you know, in now this is a government that promised that, you heard the word, that's the first time I heard, profligate expenditure.
Yes.
Ostentatious lifestyle.
That's right.
Lifestyle of the presidency.
Yes.
Now you have a president which President Mills and the NDC tagged as ostentatious, Kufuor's administration. But they were spending not more than 20 million Ghana cedis to administer the office of the presidency. Right? You come in and appoint over 25 presidential advisors. And the budget for the office of the president has, you know, nearly tripled to about 50 million Ghana cedis. Okay? Now, if you have such a number of people, then you should expect results.
Yes.
You don't need to blame, what do you call it, public servants for your inefficiency. Typical of the NDC, wanting to shift the blame. But we will have to hold, you know, John Mahama
to account.
To account.
No more mirrors.
No more mirrors.
Shades of different kinds.
Never,
Smoke here,
never.
mirror there.
No,
you can't
it's
see
all
any substance.
that's all that he's doing. You know, and what is angering me the more is that he continued to make promises, failed ones. And that's why I don't see him as a humble person. A humble person is the one who admits, I have failed. Okay? But give me a second chance. Right? When we all disappoint our wives or girlfriends, that's what we do. So forgive me, give me a second chance. That's why he's talking. He's arrogantly promising Ghanaians many more things. You are left with virtually 98 days from the day he gave out his speech. You're given 168 policy directives. Okay? And these policy directives were about, we are about, okay? Government has made moves. There's nothing to show for. Now, what is averagely, okay, 2 directives will have been implemented every day.
And they're about money.
You understand?
Yes.
So I want the GI, Vastus Azim, should be evaluating it by now. Because, you know, we are about a week. Tomorrow will be 1 week, right? Yeah. Well, yes. To find out if indeed at least 3 of such policy initiatives have been implemented. You know, so clearly, there's nothing to show for. He now talks about increment in salaries and some economic policies. Nothing has held. For instance, he's promising to pay more money to contractors. And that's where the smoke comes in. Is it a way to pass money under the carpet so that it could finance their campaign? You understand? Because 6 months ago, you had Get Fund contractors
on strike,
who were picketing and demonstrating at the entrance to the castle, wanting their money. Why? Because this government has decided to halve the expenditure the revenues due to Get Fund in half. The Get Fund administrator came to say that since 2009, it is only 50% of the projected 750 million Ghana cedis that is expected to support Get Fund that comes to him.
And the other 50%?
The other 50%, well, they should come and account for it. Clearly, you know, that's why it's for them to you know, pay a lot more judgment debts. Okay? Now, where was JDM? Now, I call him the judgment debt manager. When they told President Mills told the people of this country that Ghana is broke, I think on the 14th of February 2009. No, that was 4th January thereabout. That one was said by Hannah Tete. That Ghana is broke. You didn't hear that statement? So Ghana had no money. Now, a month down the line, the President Mills goes to Parliament, and his maiden speech, he said he's prioritizing the payment of judgment debt. He, John Mahama, who said he was giving room and space to operate, he didn't know that they needed to have a commissioner to deal with that matter. He didn't know. Is that why he's telling us that now, as part of his strategy to psychologically manage the minds of Ghanaians to think that he's in to do something, he's bringing, that's why I call him judgment debt manager. This management is to psychologically manage our emotions, manage our minds psychologically to think that he is the Mr. Saint who has come to resolve issues.
But nothing is going to happen.
Nothing is going to happen.
Nothing is going to happen.
First of all, let me say good evening to all of the entire Ghanaian population, and good evening to the youth of Ghana as well. Good evening to all Kukudites and all patriots of the country as well. We know that it's a battle as we are with the Lord. Very sad when we analyze a speech that was given by the President of the Republic of Ghana. And it's the sadness that comes out of the depths of my heart. I'll tell you why. If this is the man who leads the country, if this is the man who is supposed to give us vision, if this is the man who is supposed to tell us that it is possible, then really as a country we have serious problems to deal with. I'll tell you why. Mr. Samaja Mfi has told you that there were 168 directives and we have less than 90 days. That's one. Clearly. And what is interesting to me is that Mr. John Dramani Mahama does not see that as an impossibility. JDM does not see that as an impossibility. He thinks it's possible. The second thing is that I want to address my mind to is that, okay, so what has the government been doing over the last 3.5 years? We've been told it's a better Ghana. We've been told the unprecedented achievement. So what you would expect is that it's a wrapping up and then we move on. 168 directives in 90 days? How is that possible? One critical thing that struck me immediately I read that speech was this, that Mr. JDM did not wanted to tell the entirety of Ghana that he did not see peace as a priority under his administration. And I'll tell you why. You see, point 4, page 1, point 4 of the speech. He said among the priorities that were set for the final year of the first term, and then he listed a couple of things: consolidating achievements, maintaining discipline, effectively implementing single spine salary, among all of these things. Peace, maintaining peace in the Republic of Ghana was not part of that list. So clearly, this is his own speech. And it's interesting because you see that the heading is Critical Policy Actions of the John Dramani Mahama Administration, September to December 2012. And this is a period in which we are going to have something as critical as an election, a general election. They're talking about priorities of the government of the Republic of Ghana and ensuring peaceful elections forms no part of this thing.
But he appeared to have touched on it towards the very end, didn't he?
Yes, but you see, the point is that it's like you're trying to cook. And you tell me you're going to cook rice and stew. When I look at the menu and I look at the things you've bought, and I realize that there's no fish, I know you're trying to feed me without fish or any meat.
So towards the very end, you rush to the nearest store and attempt to buy
you just go and get some fingerlings or whatever,
afford.
and then you do it. It's important for all of Ghana to note this, that Mr. John Dramani Mahama, in his speech, admitted that peaceful elections is not part of his priorities. This is very key in the light of very recent exposés that are trending in the Ghanaian political discourse. And this is something that we must all take notice of. I am not surprised that as we speak, Mr. Yabua Tingjang is walking about free, despite the very incriminating things that he has done. An emphasis on the word done against the people of the Republic of Ghana. It's also interesting that the National Security Coordinator, even before he conducted any form of investigation, came out to say that the issues on the tape are not factual. Now, I'm surprised at this because we have a National Security Coordinator who has been resourced to undertake investigations. And you are judging the situation even before you investigate the situation. Are we going to have peace in this country? Or is it because they knew that people like Yabua Tingjang are marshalling forces and calling people and training them and sending them out there in the public, and so they know definitely that peaceful elections is not part of their priorities, and that JDM was able to tell the whole of Ghana in a very tacit way that peaceful elections is not his priority? These are questions that we are begging answers, and we're asking that for the sake of all of us, for the sake of the children, for the sake of the women, for the sake of the old people in the country, they should come out and address these issues concretely, because now you're leaving too many things. We remind ourselves, and solemnly, every time that you see, I get in touch with party people. I was recently, I had to be around the Tripoli area. People who felt the pains of that violence still are alive. Etiwa is another example. Akwete is another example. Abobloshi, right here in Accra, is another example. Security forces looked on in broad daylight. And now, the President of the Republic is telling us that peaceful elections is not his priority. That is very worrisome.
Probably the question you should be asking is whether or not peacekeepers who stand by idly and not interfere in election processes are probably not genuine national security people. They may be Yabua Tingjang security. So next time you meet a national security man, you want to find out whether he or she is Yabua Tingjang security or national security in the sense of protecting all of us. What I call the celestial letter, the everlasting message, which is supposedly from heaven, and this in the official tribute for His Excellency's funeral, signed by His Excellency, probably from heaven. Is this why the NDC would not have us be literate? If all of Ghana were literate, would the NDC try this trick on us? This is smoke and mirrors politics. The man from heaven is supposed to have written a letter, signed. Question, did he sign this letter before he left? Or somebody is playing games with a signature and telling Ghanaians to believe this? In the event somebody is playing games with a signature, what else has been signed with a signature, knowingly or unknowingly? Is that why Ghanaians don't want, the NDC doesn't want Ghanaians to have education? Today, we are being told by the Minister of Education that free education is impossible, even after his own president has admitted it in his policy speech or administrative directives or whatever, considering that he has to do about 2 a day to survive. The question on the table is, do Ghanaians deserve an education so that we can exploit our natural resources? As we speak, what kind of share do we have in the oil we are extracting? We don't have the technology, we don't have the knowledge to extract it for ourselves. We've been mining gold over 100 years. We still can't mine gold with adequate technology. And yet, the NDC says we shouldn't spend the money we have to educate ourselves. Nana has been talking about free education. I want us to listen to him once again. He's still in Accra. We take our insert.
Will radio so if you don't come paper and then free secondary education. Technical school, vocational school, apprenticeship scheme. Osei. Look from the boy. About the Germano. The first time you know. Now I just said there about 2 months. I feel 15 months and 4. More family to Nana, the doctor, I could have a phone. Anyone is married, if you want them.
Are the NDC interested in making the people of Ghana literate? Just today, the Minister of Education has marshaled the entire official force of Ghanaian education in order to hold a press conference to rebut the NPP's avowed promise to deliver free education. And what is his beef? The numbers don't add up. Enrollment numbers don't add up. The money is not enough. It's impossible to feed them. Impossible to feed them? If we are organizing ourselves well, and investing in agriculture effectively and feeding 5 million school children a day across this country, how much would our GDP increase by? And if we had the young people well trained to do that, what cost would it be to us in the long term? Much more money. And if the MPP says, give or take 10,000 more or less students, we are going to pay everything and make sure every Ghanaian from kindergarten to SHS has access to an education to open their minds. You think the NDC can convince us it's impossible? Leo Kran says it's impossible. He says there's no money. He says we don't know the number of people in school. Meanwhile, as a government, he never gave us any of those figures. Now that we have come out of extrapolated figures, and I have all the figures here. I have enrollment figures, I have the expenditure we're planning, I have percentages of the budget, I have percentages of GDP, everything is here. So we are telling the NDC government, we, the MPP, are focused and we are going to deliver free education at what the leadership choice makes.
When it comes to this particular matter of free education, I don't know where the NDC gets this idea that it is impossible. Led by Mr. Impossibility, I have no doubts that that's the psyche, because I believe strongly that it is against the interest of the NDC as a party to see the entire population of Ghana become literate. The reason is that their propaganda then will not wash. If you have a literate mass, a large section of literate mass, then the propaganda you are doing, everybody can't see beyond what the smoke screen you put up, and so it doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you what, the late professor, may his soul rest in perfect peace, John Evans Atamils, made a statement in the State of the Nation Address 2011, and I'll quote him. This statement can be found on page 6, paragraph 2, and I'm going to quote Professor John Evans Atamils, the late. Past failures seem to have created a mentality that has restricted national ambition. It is time for this country to think big and think positive. There is nothing wrong in being ambitious and daring. I'm going to repeat that quotation. This can be found in the State of the Nation Address 2011, page 6, paragraph 2. Past failures seem to have created a mentality that has restricted national ambition. It is time for this country to think big and think positive. There is nothing wrong with being ambitious and daring, which fits perfectly into the ideology of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Constitution of Ghana. You see, he's made a statement that governance is not for small minds. The late Professor John Evans Atamils clearly shared the idea. It is time for Ghana to think big and to think positive. And I find this to be the height of hypocrisy. When JDM said it was impossible for free education to be implemented in Ghana, I'll tell you why. And I'm quoting from his book, My First Coup d'etat, page 114. Anybody can reference.
JDM is His Excellency John Mahama.
His Excellency John Mahama, yes.
Judgment Debt Manager.
Judgment Debt Manager.
Those are his initials.
Yes.
John Dramani Mahama.
Judgment Debt Manager.
Interesting.
And I'm quoting him from his book, My First Coup d'etat, page 114. And again, you see, it's important that we make this point to Ghanaians, that he does not believe in Ghanaians. John Dramani Mahama does not believe in Ghanaians. When it was time for Ghana to build houses for itself, he said, Ghanaians can't do it, let's go and bring the Koreans. When the Koreans failed, yet still he said, Ghanaians can't do it, let's go and bring in the South Africans. And today we are hearing of some Nigerian companies as well. Simple building houses for ourselves.
Tomb of the president.
The
Chinese.
tomb of the late president was constructed by Chinese. So he believes that Ghanaians, you see, he doesn't think Ghanaians are good enough. A book, and he wanted to launch it. He went to America to go and launch it there. After all, what use is a book to Ghanaians? And that is the reason why he wants to keep us illiterate. You don't think that Ghanaians are literate enough? What do Ghanaians have to do with a book? So you go to America and go and launch your book in America. Till today, how many months after he launched this book, it has not been launched in Ghana? That shows you the ideology. But in that same book that he doesn't want us to have copies of, page 114, I'll read to you. For that, one of the benefits of living in Tamale was that Northerners attended school free of charge. The Northern Scholarship Scheme enabled kids from the North to attend school from primary school straight through to the end of their education, with government providing for tuition, room and board, full uniform including sandals and books. All of my siblings were transferred to boarding school in the North.
What?
This is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama speaking, My First Coup d'etat. And anybody can go and reference this, page 114.
The government not only fed him, but also put sandals on his feet.
And it's interesting because Mr. John Dramani Mahama attended school in the North. And so he benefited from free education.
He left Achimota and went to the
North. And went to the North to go and get education. And he has given the reason that for that, one of the benefits of living in Tamale was that Northerners attended school free of charge. And today, what we are saying is, look, it is about
the things the government paid for.
And the Northern Scholarship Scheme enabled children from the North to attend school from primary straight to the end of their education, with government providing for tuition,
free,
room and board,
free,
full uniform,
free,
including sandals,
free,
and books.
Free.
The interesting thing is that his father, who was a minister of state, who, according to John Dramani Mahama in that book, could afford to give him money to go to the discotheque.
Yes. Father had 9 cars.
His father had 9 cars back in the house, and so he could give him money to go to the disco.
Still preferred.
And listen, all of my siblings were transferred to boarding school in the North. So a minister of state who had 9 cars, who was giving his children money for disco, still took his children from the South to the North because of free education, such that he, JDM, benefited from it. And today, by default, is president of Ghana. is now telling us that it is not possible, it is not wise, it is not good for Ghana to prioritize education. Now, when these things come about, I don't understand. And you see, I've said this before and I'll continue to say it again, that the NDC doesn't want Ghanaians educated because their propaganda will not sell.
Smoke and mirrors politics.
I'll tell you one thing. The Millennium Villages project that, you know,
Yes,
we are now hearing about
on Sada. Let me take a break and come back to that. Sada is very dear to my heart. Nana, I beg you. Let me take my second break. Sada is so dear to my heart. Nana Kofi Oponda-Moa and Joseph Asamoah Gyamfi are discussing the NDC's tendencies to smoke and mirror politics. In other words, they've just reduced the business of governance, indeed, to mere shadows. And Lee Okran is telling us he's going to reduce illiteracy to single digits, probably alongside the inflation. I mean, 3.5 years. Anyway.
As I was going on before, I said that the NDC has no interest in educating large mass of people in Ghana simply because when Ghanaians are educated to that high level, they cannot give out their propaganda and have it believed.
Okay.
Recently, we heard of the Millennium Villages project, and in Ghana alone, it's being tagged the Sada Millennium Villages project. This is interesting because you see, the Millennium Villages project has nothing to do with Sada. I can show you the website of the Millennium Villages project, and this was started by the Columbia University. The very first Millennium Village in Ghana was in the Ashanti region. Bonsaso, done under the NPP era, and we never tagged it as anything. And you can see the website, millenniumvillages.org. It has nothing whatsoever to do with SADA, but for cheap political gain and for propaganda purposes, knowing very well that a section of the Ghanaian population is illiterate and so will believe whatever lies that they throw at them. You keep them in that way, you go ahead with such things. And when individuals who want come out to say, look, we are going to educate the Ghanaian populace, then you become afraid. It is on record that Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo has said that the biggest threat to the re-election of the NDC is the free education process of the NPP.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the fact that this is a key component of governance. And you see, I'm going to read to you what Mr. John Dramani Mahama, JDM, again, said in his critical policy analysis for the government of Ghana. Our argument is not about free secondary education. That vision has already been captured by the drafters of our 1992 Constitution. I repeat it. Our argument is not about the free secondary education. That vision has already been captured by the drafters of our 1992 Constitution. So why then are you opposing its implementation? It's simple, because they want to keep the people illiterate, such that when we have power crisis in Ghana, you can afford to go to Burkina Faso and go and promise them that we are going to sell power to them when we, in our own homes, do not have light. So that the people of Ghana will see nothing wrong with that because perhaps they are not highly educated. The NPP has said that we do not believe in this. We think that it is, you see, and we are capitalists. We believe that it is for every individual to explore his innate abilities to rise to the highest level that you can as an individual. We think that we should allow you to grow and fit into that paradigm where you create your own possibilities. And you can only do that through education. The brightest example of this is Mr. Manasseh Azuri, who is the journalist of the year. He was a night watchman's son, but through free education like this, today he has become an example for the whole of Ghana.
Me, I'm not surprised that Lee Okran, you know, the number one pessimist.
He's the number one pessimist.
Yes!
Impossible.
When it was announced to Parliament that Ghana has discovered oil, he was quick to tell Ghanaians that is Adjongo, palm kernel. He says it is palm kernel. He was the one who said in the floor of the house. So I'm not surprised that he is the chief doubter ever. You understand? And yeah, he wanted to be a MP so that he could become an energy minister. That's why he was lobbying in 2008 for President Mills. You understand? The very thing that you said was not possible. I am not surprised. People are not interested in free education. When President Kufuor said in 2000 that when he comes and he's elected as president, he would introduce the capitation grant to make basic education free. Then Professor Mills, who was vice president and head of economic management team, and a lawyer, said it was not possible. When Kufuor implemented this, oh, it is just mere 3 cedis. Oh, it was in the constitution. Then Professor Mills knew that it was a constitutional provision, and that candidate Kufuor then was just trying to implement what the constitution has enjoined presidents to do. They did not know that. Now they claim they've increased it to 5 cedis, right? Go and ask many head teachers if that capitation 5 cedis has been given to them. It has not been given to them.
They owe the school system
a lot of millions of cedis. So are these people serious about education?
Maybe
do you even know that now?
If the schools had gone through the judgment system, they would have gotten their money by now.
You know, do you know that now chalk is being rationed? Chalk? Yes, it's being rationed in schools. The schools that were entitled to 5 boxes per term during Kufuor's time are being given 2.
Wow.
Go and ask some head teachers. They don't care. All they want is to let the people, you know, wallow in their ignorance so that they can continue to deceive them. Do you know that a team of NDC apparatchiks are running within the military barracks, telling them that, look, Nana Akufo-Addo says that he's going to cut your salary to support free education, just as Buzia did to you when in his austerity measures? They are saying this in the barracks.
But they are forgetting to tell them that they are taking money to Cuba to finance Cuba's educational system.
They believe that these military men are that cuckoo. They're stupid. You get it? How can a government that introduced a single spine come and cut it off?
The government we thought through
it and made it law. You only came to implement it 2 years after. You understand?
Yes.
But that is the NDC for you. Okay? They are a bunch of myopic people. They don't look beyond their nose. How can you, JDM, do you know that in his advertised, what do you call it, profile in the dailies, they've cut off his secondary education? No, they've cut off his primary education and secondary education.
Where did he go?
From Achimota, he ended up at the university.
They've cut that.
They've cut out. Achimota, that time, was one of the elite secondary schools, right? His father was in the elite class. If you look at the way he described Ezra, his schoolmate, you understand? He wondered why a farmer, village boy, because in those days for your father to have 9 cars, and be given money to go to the disco wasn't child's play.
No.
The disco was it?
So he had a silver spoon in his mouth.
But he's cut off that portion. The Ghana secondary school he went for free. Go and pick the guy last week Tuesday, and you see it. They've cut it off. It's not deception.
Where he was fed and given sandals
for free. Examination fees free. The rich man thought it necessary, right? The affluent person, minister of state, thought it necessary to fly his kids. That time, if you're a government appointee, you fly the Air Force, sat in the Air Force plane for free.
So why have they cut it out? To deceive us that it didn't happen?
Yes, so that you know if you are not educated, you cannot think through. You accept it. You accept it. But from primary, you should not go to secondary before you go to university. But in that profile, from primary at Chemota, Ghana Secondary School is Ghana University of Ghana.
Wow.
Okay? So that is the NDC for you. They have nothing to offer. They are a bunch of pessimists. They are good in confusing Ghanaians. And they want us to stuck in our ignorance. But I keep on telling people that during Kufuor's time, we had no oil, did we?
No.
But he constructed roads. We had no oil. He built hospitals. We had no oil, but he increased the salary budget from 500,000 to 2 billion. When President Kufuor came, the budget for salaries was 500 million. Right? He quadrupled it, okay, to 2 billion. Now that we have oil, and I will appeal to you Ghanaians, that the projection done by Nanado to use the 50% of GMPC shares, okay, the 60% of the money that goes into the central budget, and the 40% of get fund, is calculated on the 32 barrels of crude produced currently. By 2014, the Jubilee field should be hitting 200,000 barrels. So what it means is that more money is going to come into the system. Okay? Now, the discovery that has been discovered after Jubilee also coming to, it has a potential of 100,000 barrels a day. Who is telling you that it's not possible? And the only way, any Ghanaian listening to me, the only way you can benefit from the oil is through education. Because if my sister doesn't go, my niece will benefit, right? My son will benefit. My sister will benefit. If I'm an old man, my grandchildren will benefit. That is the only way that the wealth, the oil wealth, could benefit the people of this country through education. And yet, these are people who do not believe in it. All they want to do is to keep you in ignorance, so that tomorrow, if they come and tell you that a lizard is a crocodile, you believe it. If they come and tell you that a sheep is an elephant, you believe it. Because why? You lack education.
Certainly, we don't want an elephant to begin to look like a sheep. If they want to look like cows, we will allow them to do that. But Ghanaians will want to see an elephant for what it is. Big ideas, big dreams, big capacity to implement big things. The only way every family in Ghana will benefit from oil is through education. Please join us 0302-211-701-702, 0302-211-701-702, and share your thoughts on whether or not you are getting value for your thumb. You invest your thumb in the government for 4 years, and all you are getting is smoke waving over mirrors, never getting the truth, as it were. Nana?
Yes, sir. You see, I still continue to stand by my points that the NDC does not want people educated because of propaganda purposes. And I'll tell you what. You see, when you are educated, you can take advantage of laws like the Right to Information Bill, which is yet to be passed, and use it to stop corruption. You understand? Now, I'm going to show you a clear-cut deal, which today is before the Parliament of Ghana. This is significant because this is the first deal that JDM, as president, has authorized to be put before the Republic of Ghana's Parliament. This the website for the company called Ital Construct. Now, this is a Ghanaian company.
Zion is just called in from Wa. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, Zion.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
This is Zion Wa.
Yes, sir.
Yes, let me thank you for the wonderful work you people have been doing for us. My only problem is that your working young security officers is going to be a threat for us. In this case, we are not going to believe any other official coming from the BNI, the National Security, or the Special Security, the Special Forces. So how are you going to distinguish between your party gang and then the National Security officers? So it is left onto the NDC, the German administration, to come out and find these people for us. If it is not, the all that APP is talking about, what we are experiencing. Because the NDC has the power to overthrow Dr. Helen Lamar. That's what the NDC is in power. So let me tell the Northerners that we in the Upper West region, we are still feeling the pain, the overthrow of Dr. Helen Lamar. Dr. Helen Lamar in 1982 was a flag bearer for PH, President did not vote for him, or he did not a Northerner. Now that it is time for John, they say he's a Northerner. We want them to pay back what they did to Dr. Helen Man. Then we also pay back to John Mama. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ebwa.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your woman, I'll congratulate you for this evening. We are very glad from Upper West region. Your performance is very marvelous, very fantastic. Like one of your panelists just give, the way you explain about when now I don't get the money for the education fund, we are certain and we are okay. We will make sure that we endorse Nonado this 2012 elections massively. We didn't talk about Nodula or non-Nodula. We are talking of somebody who can perform. who can debate, someone like Ronaldo. When everyone knows that Ronaldo is speaking, he's speaking with confidence and telling us that he can rule this country. When we joke, this one didn't get this country, we will regret a lot. So we are not going to joke. We are not going to sit down a single day. We will make sure that we encourage people to indulge in everybody knows that it's very, very important in this time. So without education, our life is up. So we are seeing you people every day, every time, every night, every morning. We will work hardly. When we even look at physical, that's we're seeing. And I have only Brigadier start something. Door to door morning. Every morning we used to visit every house, every individual person with our MP. We will make sure that the MP will be in parliament with Nanadu. One another is in the castle or flower house. Without our MP, we are ashamed. So we try much as possible to support our chairman to send our MP to you to put there. We also work together and we'll achieve that better than that could frustrate and say that they're doing better than and messing Ghana up against better Ghana. So that's why we have to work together to prove that. Now, when the is power, Ghana will be in a good way than this people say that they are better Ghana. That's a better Ghana. Everyone is bitter. And there's so many options.
Thank you. Let me take the number. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
The pouch making the tree one.
Koso.
The pouch. Because if you say the prayer from mama. Na obo 20 before nyame hira omo. Omo ma hu bia be se ni mo nyumre a ni hu nyamenye. Na NDC for your migrant say na na ku fa what ni free education no. As mama no mo kan mama timi akọ free education school Islam e be ka Ghana for say yet me ko free education. Na me ni say na ku fa do be timi aye. Na wo be ya ye biam. What na so ama na ku fa do say I'm buying a or not to be our gym. Now, baby, it's the moment to one I say, and you saw Mopa. Madame, I say, oh, be a person, the Babo Bridge, I said.
Hello, Willie?
Yeah, this was it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Looking at this thing, the analysis this thing is making. If Nanado were to have this very long time, wouldn't he have advised Mr. Kufuor to do the same thing?
Very well.
He was a minister.
Very well. Is it too late?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we lost you? Okay. Now, the lady who spoke in Tree, you heard what she said. She said that tonight she's received a vision of the truth of what Nana can do, because she's just been told what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took advantage of. Free education, to the point where he was not only fed and housed, but given sandals to wear.
So if Nanado says you provide buses, you say it's not
that
possible.
is the extent to which government can go.
To ensure that
because of that,
benefited.
Today,
and he was from
able to go to
privileged family.
From a privileged family, even a poor family.
Poor family.
And he's managed to pass, because of that foundation,
yes.
He's president of the republic, albeit by accident of law.
Default, yeah.
But, no.
Yeah, so my point exactly is that the NDC does not want people to be, because when they are, then everybody will see through their corruption. And I'm going to give you an example. This is the very first deal that John Mahama, as president of the country, has caused to be laid before Parliament. Now, the interesting thing is that this is a company, ITA Construct International Limited. Now, this company is supposed to construct houses for Ghana on their own, when they are buying the land, providing water, providing road, providing electricity. It is interesting, if the camera can capture it, that they are providing 2-bedroom self-contained detached houses.
Put it on the table. It's shaking.
Self-contained detached houses at a price of $27,000 US.
When the company itself acquires land,
the land,
and provides everything,
they
will sell it to you at
$27,000 US.
And how much do they want to sell it to the government?
And now that the government of Ghana is underwriting the deal, the price has suddenly
and providing land,
providing electricity, providing telephone, providing water and services. The price has suddenly risen to $60,000. What is even more interesting is the fact that you see the same company, you can see here, is selling a 4-bedroom, self-contained, detached house, expandable. And the price for a 4-bedroom, according to them, When they are getting the land themselves, getting water, getting electricity, providing roads themselves, the price is, and I want readers to see, $56,320 US. And that's for a 4-bedroom house. So why is it that if the same company can provide a 2-bedroom house, getting their own facilities at $27,000, when the government of Ghana is undertaking the deal, suddenly the price rises to $60,000 a unit? Where is the extra money going to? Is this why they do not want Ghanaians to be educated?
That's a for your last words.
They are inflating the thing. Is there any wonder? You remember the Embraer thing? A hangar that was also broken under JDM.
An aircraft garage.
An aircraft garage is costing $70 million.
And that can build 226 schools and
trees. Extra tank is costing $3 million. Inside entertainment, another $1.2 million. Just flat screens behind seats, right? Yeah. An extra staircase, $1 million. That's JDM for you. Is there anyone that after brokering that deal, his brother has bought a plane? Is there any wonder? After brokering that deal,
I hear a couple of ships involved as well. Yeah. Your last words.
All I tell the people of Ghana is that we believe in the destiny of Ghana. The new patriotic party led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo believes in Ghana. We believe in Ghanaians, and we think that the time has come for Ghanaians to take our destiny into our hands. Look, Mr. Kofi Annan made a statement, and that statement guided me all my life. And the statement is that we can solve all our problems if only we can find the political will.
We can solve all our problems if only we can find the political will.
That political will will be provided by Nana.
Of course, Nana Addo will deliver it. But the smoke and mirror people, after Leo Kran screamed and yelled his head off that the free education is impossible, he's now promising to reduce it to single digits.
How?
Good night, Ghanaians, and make the decision for yourselves. Thank you.